We recently did a survey to our prospects and clients, and almost 75% of those who responded told us that their biggest business frustration was getting employees to do what you need them to do. And that frustration was followed closely by the hassle of trying to find, hire, and get new employees up to speed. And this didn't matter whether it was a 2 or 3 person outfit or a 30 or 50 person company. If you think about this, if you hire a person well, if you onboard them well, if you train them well and manage them well, chances are they will do what you need them to do. And if they don't, or they won't, then you'll know this before, say, a 60 or 90-day review period, and you'll let them go and you'll find someone else. And you might think, oh boy, the hassle of hiring and firing and training and etc. But what we're talking about here are processes. If you have a process for hiring, a process for onboarding, a process for training, a process for managing, a process for evaluating, this actually gets pretty easy. Now my guess is that everyone on the call today knows the importance and value of having, I will be touching on this in today's presentation, the importance of having a process-dependent business versus a people-dependent business. And if you didn't know this, I don't know that you'd be here. But that said, if you know you need processes and you're on this call, why haven't you done it yet? Something we see frequently is that entrepreneurs are simply not conscious of the real cost of not having these processes. We know they're unconscious because if they were conscious of it, they would certainly get the processes in place. This is a really important point because if you begin to understand what it's really costing you to have employees that are not doing what you need them to do, then you might make it a high priority, focus and energy into getting these processes implemented. Brad Smart, this is a great book. Brad Smart, he's written a really great book called Top Grading. His research shows that 75% of the time companies make hiring errors. They hire the wrong person for the position, and the cost of that mishire is 15 times their annual salary. Now, when I read that, I couldn't really believe that the cost could actually be that much. I mean, 15 times the position's annual salary. That just seemed a little extreme to me. But this guy's done the research. I haven't. I just read his books and was astonished by what he was writing about. One of the key reasons it's 15 times is due to what Brad Smart calls the cost of lost opportunity. To see how much opportunity you're losing, here's a conservative and quick calculation. But this doesn't consider, by the way, is upsell possibilities. Your actual lost opportunity will be more than this, but you want to start here to really understand the value of getting your employees to perform well. First of all, figure out on average the number of appointments you need, and this is, by the way, this is just in the sales that I'm going to show you some statistics. Figure out on average the number of appointments you need to schedule each month to achieve your goals. Then consider what percentage of those appointments should result in a sale. Then figure the dollar value of your average sale. Now this will define the opportunity that is out there. And that's if you've got a good sales process, by the way. But this is probably what you're doing if you're the salesperson. Total appointments times conversion percentage times the dollar value of your average sale. Now imagine a conversion ratio that is half of what it should be. So you cut the dollar value that you just calculated in half. You multiply it by 50%. That's how much opportunity you are losing every month. And now you multiply that by 3, that's how much you're losing each quarter, multiply it by 4, and that's how much you're losing every year. Let's put some numbers on this example. Let's say following your selling system, your goal is to book 5 sales appointments per week. So that would be about 20 per month. Let's say on average you close 30% of those appointments. And when, you might say, well, my average is much more than that, but think about a salesperson doing that who doesn't have your experience, who's not the owner of the company. A 30% conversion rate is pretty good. And let's figure your long-term client value, the value of your average customer after all is said and done, is $5,000. 20 appointments times 30% means you should convert 6 new clients each month. If the average long-term client value is $5,000, your sales goals are $30,000 a month. If you're running at 50% because you've got an employee who's doing the job poorly, you're losing $15,000 a month in opportunities. Times 3, that's $45,000 per quarter, and times 4, that's $180,000 per year. You're losing $180,000 in potential sales every year. And so many companies hang on to their employees, these employees that are underachievers who are not a good fit for the position or for the company, or who've been trained poorly, and keep losing all of this opportunity. So if you think about it, you've got the costs of loss of opportunity while they're learning how to do what they need to do. You've got the expense of recruiting a new employee. You have the expense in both time and money of training the employee. And in addition to all of that, if that's not enough, you've got the cost of the mistakes they make while they're learning. You've got the cost of their frustrations and the interruptions they cause with their manager, as well as all of their colleagues during their first 4 to 6 months on the job. So suddenly you start seeing that maybe it could be 15 times their annual salary. The problem is you just don't notice it. You feel it, but you don't see it because it doesn't show up as a loss on your financial statements. If you create great impressions, chances are customers will reach out to you again and again. Existing customers are 10 times more valuable than one-time callers. Selling a new customer can be as much as 5 times the expense of retaining an existing customer. And if your customer is hearing great things about your company, chances are they'll pay more for your services so that you minimize the possibility of a price war with your competition. And on the other hand, if your customer is upset with their experience, chances are they'll tell between 10 and 20 people, depending on the level of their dissatisfaction. So you know these inefficiencies are there. You, as I said earlier, you feel them, but you just don't see them. You're busy, but you're not achieving your goals. And because you don't really see them, you fail to see how important they are. You need to get that this is costing you a ton of money, that getting processes in place is a huge and vital part of your responsibility as an entrepreneur. And this doesn't mean that you have to write them all. It just means that you need to make sure it happens. So you need an easy way to get the processes written. You need an easy way to keep them current. You need your employees to use them. You need buy-in from all of your people. They need to understand the value of having processes. Imagine if how things needed to be done in your business is carefully thought out, documented, and easy to find. Your employees use your processes. They keep them current. You have a business that is a well-oiled machine. Just take a moment to imagine what that would be like. If the business is organized and fairly predictable, you'll get good employees, and they will stay. It will differentiate your business from your competition. Employee turnover rate will be low. You won't need to hire and fire a lot of employees, and you'll get them up to speed really quickly. Your business can actually be that way, and my goal today is to show you just how simple it can be. And my presentation today, it's not a theory. On the contrary, it's really more of a workshop, and together we're going to walk through a 5-step plan and actually get started on making it so. There are going to be moments today, I said this at the very beginning, there are going to be moments today when I'm going to be asking for your input, and we'll start building a process list for a business. I mean, it'll be very similar to what you would eventually do with your own business. To participate or to ask or answer a question, type your text in the chat window in the GoToWebinar control panel. It'll be right there. Also, as I said earlier, a bunch of people have shown up since I said this, but feel free to post any questions you might have right in that section. We're going to have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, and I'll monitor these questions and address them. And if I don't have enough time to address a question that's been posted, GoToWebinar actually saves them, and I'll follow up with you after the event with a reply. Now, we've done this hundreds and hundreds of times with all types of businesses in all types of industries, all different sizes and shapes. Before we get started, I just want to give you just a couple of minutes on who I am and my experience with entrepreneurship and business systemization, how I got to where I am and what I've done. See, I'm just like you, a business owner who has experienced all of the same challenges. but I just took the time to figure out and apply a solution. My name's Michael Mills. I'm one of the founders of Business Design Corporation. This is a picture of me that was actually taken in India. Some of my clients call this my Ray Charles look. We were sitting in a tea house just outside of the Red Fort in Old Delhi. In fact, this picture is a reflection of me in the smoked glass of a coffee table that I was sitting next to. The year was 2005. This was about 8 or 9 years after I'd started my current company. My wife, my 14-year-old son, and I took 14 months off to travel around the world. I was able to take almost a year and a half off and have one of the most amazing adventures with my wife and son that I could have ever imagined. It was the greatest thing I've ever done. And we were able to do this because I was fortunate enough to systemize my business. I didn't shut my business down while I was gone, and I didn't really work much while I was gone. I checked in, thanks to the internet. Oh, and by the way, if you'd like to read some of my stories, I wrote a bunch of stories while I was traveling. You can go to this website. It's like it was way before it was easy to build a website, so it's a little bit crazy. But you can go to www.anepicadventure.com, and I can promise you that some of these stories you will find very entertaining. Things weren't always so well organized. I started my first business in 1983 after graduating with a degree in English and philosophy from Trinity College at the University of Toronto. This is my classic tale of ineptitude. And just so you can relate to how long ago this was and what the landscape was like back then, a 5 megabyte hard drive, this is actually a picture of a 5 megabyte hard drive. It would have cost you $5,000. 5 megabytes, $5,000, $1,000 a megabyte. Today, downloading one digital song will eat up a 5 megabyte hard drive. Well, it was in this landscape that I started a software company computerizing art galleries of all things, as if the market was big enough and art galleries could actually afford personal computers back then, let alone know what to do with them. Nevertheless, I got started. I moved to New York City from Toronto, and I worked incredibly long hours computerizing these galleries. I was working in galleries all over the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom. And my company grew on my passion and hard work. This was during my mid-20s and early 30s. I worked my butt off, but I was loving it. I felt like I was invincible. I thought I was going to be the next Bill Gates. All I had to do was work really, really hard, and it would all just fall into place, right? I mean, does that sound familiar? I guess I don't have to tell you that it didn't quite happen that way. In 1988, I opened up a second location in California. This was not part of a strategic plan. This was just a personal decision, and there really wasn't a big enough target market to warrant 2 locations. And as a result, because I didn't want to move back to New York City, I ended up selling my company in 1993. This was the metaphorical equivalent of a very expensive and very long 10-year MBA program. Just about this time, like I started doing some consulting. I was trying to figure out what to do next. I did some consulting, and then I read this book, Michael Gerber, Why Most Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It. And I really connected with the message in this book. I'm sure Tom has recommended this book to you. If anybody hasn't read this book, I really recommend it. It's a good one. But I connected with the message in this book. My previous business had just about burned me out. Most things depended upon me. It was very difficult to get good employees. And if I did get a good employee, it was really difficult to get them to do the things the way I wanted them done. I didn't have documented processes or job descriptions. I didn't have a strategic plan or a vision. I was just winging it. I was flying by the seat of my pants. I was just coming into work every day. And most of the entrepreneurs who were my consulting clients were exactly the same way. They were frustrated. They were stressed. They worked really hard, but after a certain point, they were unable to achieve the goals they were hoping to achieve. They found it difficult, for example, to get their business from, say, $500,000 to $1 million, or even from maybe $1 or $2 million to $30 million in revenue. There was this barrier they couldn't get beyond. And this is when I read Michael's book, and Michael started this course certifying consultants to deliver his E-Myth Mastery program, and I was one of the first consultants to go through their certification process. This is the more e-mythy picture of me, the more formal picture of me, though I'm not very fond of wearing a suit anymore. You usually find me in more casual business attire, but Michael used to have us dress in blue suits and red ties. I started a new company. It was called Business Design Corporation, and we consulted with small business owners using the eMyth Mastery program. And we did this for many years, but and the program was good, but it was too theoretical. Our clients weren't actually getting their processes written. In fact, this was the very foundation of what needed to happen. So we created a step-by-step business systemization plan, a synthesis of our successful strategies, simplified down to the nuts and bolts necessary to get it done without having to read thousands of pages of theory. Essentially, we put eMyth theory into practice by creating a simpler way to systemize a business. So that's all I'm going to say about me today. And by the way, this ebook that we wrote is available to you, so I'll give you a chance to get that at the end of the day. Here's what you're going to learn in today's presentation. First of all, we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between processes and policies. Because many entrepreneurs will tell me they have an operations manual, but when I ask them to share it with me, it's not a process manual, it's a policy manual. And they're very different. Next, I'm going to go through a 5-step business systemization plan. 5 simple steps to creating a process-dependent business. And this is going to be the workshop part of the presentation. Together, we're going to roll up our sleeves, dig in, and actually begin the process of building the systemic infrastructure of your business. I'm going to show you just how simple it can be. Next, I'll provide a couple of tips on how you get your processes written and how to get others in your organization to contribute to the systemizing of your business. And then I'm going to share with you from the knowledge we've gained from the thousands of businesses that we've talked to over the years, why it is that you've probably failed in your past attempts at implementing your processes, why your processes get out of control. It's what we call SOP chaos. SOP, by the way, stands for Standard Operating Procedures. And we'll quickly discuss the 2 key things that are missing that you need to be able to create a process-dependent business. And as we build this systemic infrastructure, I'm going to be showcasing a tool specifically designed to organize and implement your processes. The tool is called the Touchstone Business System. This is not going to be a demo of that tool. I'm just going to use it. And if you're interested, again, we'll be giving you a way to get a demo of Touchstone at the end of today's presentation. I just want to say a little bit about why today's presentation is probably different than other presentations you may have attended. What you're going to learn today is born from 17 years of experience working with all types of entrepreneurs in all types and sizes of businesses, helping them get their business from a state of people dependency to a state of process dependency. Nobody can tell me that their business cannot be systemized. We've done every type of business. This is not going to be a sales presentation, and it's not going to be a demo of a product or service. Again, I'm going to be using Touchstone because it's the best and most widely used process implementation tool available in the marketplace, but this is not going to be a demo of that product. Okay, let's talk about processes versus policies. Policies are a set of principles that are put into place to define and maintain the behavioral expectations of employees. So these are typically going to be topics dealing with employee behavior, dress code, harassment, cell phone use, corporate credit card use, things like that. Processes, on the other hand, a process is the sequence of steps that have to be followed in order for a specific result to be achieved. And that you want that result to be achieved over and over again, consistently and reliably. A process, these are the instructions that describe how to do something. Hiring, how you hire is a process. How you onboard is a process. How you train is a process. Managing, estimating, job costing, these are all processes. This is an example of a policy. I actually looked this up online with Starbucks. As part of Starbucks' dress code policy, they allow employees to show non-offensive, visible tattoos as long as they are not on the face or throat. And this is why this guy's not going to be an employee working at a Starbucks near you anytime soon. On the other hand, this is an example of a process. These would be the detailed steps make a double decaf, half calf, coca mocha, grande, caramel, cinnamon, dolce latte. If I was a barista at a Starbucks, I would actually have a documented set of step-by-step instructions, a process on which I would be trained on how to make this complicated concoction. And that is why you can get your favorite Starbucks coffee at a store in Seattle, or in California, or in Boston, or in St. Louis, or in Nebraska, or in New Delhi, India. It'll always taste the same, and it will be exactly what you want and what you are expecting. So we're going to focus on process implementation today, not on how to create a policy manual. So let's start with the plan. We've developed a 5-step systems development plan, and we use this plan to discover, prioritize, document, implement, and manage all of the steps in a business. And there are 5 steps. I'm going to go through these 5 steps, and then we'll come back and we'll look at each one of them individually. The first step really actually isn't about systemizing at all. It's about understanding your destination. What is your business going to look like, say, 3 years from now? I mean, one of the things that we say is if you don't know where you're going, how are you ever going to get there? In step number 2, you define the processes that you think are necessary in that future organization. How are you going to generate sales? How will you deliver on the promises you made in the sales process? What back office procedures are going to be going on behind the scenes, like hiring, firing, payroll, invoicing, collections, backing up your computers, all of the administrative and financial activities? How will you guide and manage the business from where you are today to where you want to get to? Now, in this step, you're not actually describing how the process is done. That does come later. In this step, you're simply naming what needs to be done. This process actually goes fairly quickly. In step number 3, you'll create a graphic picture of what that destination will look like, and this is what's going to become your org chart, your organization chart. Step number 4, once you've named the processes, you'll connect them to the boxes on your org chart. Now think about this. You've defined everything that needs to be done in the business. You've defined all of the processes, and you've defined all of the things that you need in the business. And now you've connected everything that needs to be done to all of the positions. You've created what we call complete functional accountability. Everything that needs to be done is being done by a position in your business. And finally, in step 5, you will begin to prioritize the processes. Which are the ones that are the most important to get written as soon as possible, and who is going to help you write them? This doesn't necessarily mean that the most important processes to get written are the most important processes in your business. If you have a person who's going on maternity leave, you might have a filing system, or how to make bank deposits, or how to answer the phone or something. Very simple, what may be considered not very high priority processes, but they're very high priority in getting written because your administrative assistant or your front office person is going away on maternity leave. Who's going to do what she does when she's gone? Now, almost every business owner I speak to will ask me, how long is it going to take to systemize my business? First of all, it's important to know that systemizing your business, it's not a project. If you consider it a project, it will sabotage your success. It's a process. And the actual writing of your procedures, it's ongoing. It never ends. And the 5-step systems development plan, the one we're going to go through right now, it doesn't get you to the place where all of your procedures are written and finished and that's that. But that said, the business systems development plan, these 5 steps, this plan is designed to create the systemic infrastructure of your business. And depending on the size and complexity of your business, it's really only going to take 4, 6, maybe 10 hours at most. And it's a very, very powerful series of steps to have taken. You're going to be very clear on your vision. You have a clear understanding of all of the positions and processes you need to achieve your vision. You've created what we call complete functional accountability. You have position-specific operating manuals for every box on your org chart. And you have a prioritized plan for getting the processes written. Very, very powerful. Okay, so the first step then is to define your destination. What's your business going to look like 3 years, 4 years from now? This is such a critical step. Studies show that if you do this, and if you take action and track and communicate the process that you make, you have a 300% better chance of achieving your goals than if you don't take this step. So why do so few business owners do it? In many cases, it's simply because they don't know. And by the way, Tom Powers can walk you through creating a strategic plan and creating a strategic vision. He's got a fantastic process for this. I'm not going to go into this in today's presentation. We have a separate webinar on this topic where we actually help you build out your strategic plan and how to take action and how to track your progress on achieving it. In fact, I have a recording of that presentation. If you want to get that recording, just type in the chat box of the GoToWebinar control panel. Just type in something like send link to strategic plan, or can I get that recording of how to create a strategy, whatever you want to put in, and we'll be sure to get that to you. So once you're clear on your vision, your destination, it's well defined and written down. Step number 2 is all about naming the processes that you think are going to be necessary for achieving that vision. And in this step, I want you to think about your business in a new way. I want you to rise up above the landscape and think of your business as having 4 key functions. Only 4. There are only 4 key functions in your business. Getting the business, these are all of your sales and marketing processes. Doing the business, these will be all of the processes for delivering on the promise that you made during your sales process. And this is going to include things for client fulfillment, production, customer service, all of the processes that directly relate to what you do for your clients. Running the business, these are going to be all of those processes that go on behind the scenes, like invoicing, paying your bills, collections, hiring, firing, backing up your computers, things like that. Essentially, all of the financial, administrative, human resource, and IT type processes. And finally, your strategic processes for leading and managing and guiding the business from where you are today to where you want to get to. In the simplest of terms, there are only 4 things that are going on in your business. You've got to get the business, you've got to deliver on the promise, you've got to collect and pay for the goods and services performed, and you've got to guide and manage things. So this becomes your process list or your process database. This is where you're going to store all of your systems, all categorized in 4 simple functions. So I want to toggle over to a touchstone account, and I'm going to click on these 4 key functions. So this is the application that I mentioned earlier that can be used for process implementation. And as I said, this isn't a demo. I just want to use it today to show what is available to you. In the 5-step plan, we're simply naming and organizing your processes. You're not at this point going to describe how the process is done and write it all down. I like to start actually with the key function, getting the business, this one right here. Sales and marketing processes, because this is really where workflow begins. You got to get some business before you can do the business or run the business or manage. So first, let me begin with an example, and I need your participation here, guys, in a moment. So, but this is an example. I was working with a client recently, and I asked him, "What do you do to get business?" And his response to me was, he got very excited, and he just like went off on this tirade. He said, "Oh, well, we just analyzed our database to get a list of clients who had not made a purchase in the last 12 months, but they previously purchased more than $2,000, and then we exported this list into a file, and then we created an email, and how we did that is we did this and we did that, and we merged that list into this email." And I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. I stopped him and I said, wait, my question was, what do you do to get business? Not how you do it. No, that's not what we're talking about right now. So if you are describing, if what you just described to me was a process, what would the name of that process be? He thought about it for a moment and he said, retargeting past clients. And I said, great. And I said, so that's probably a sales process, right? And he said, yeah. So we clicked here and we typed in add new process and we typed in retargeting past clients and I clicked save. And then I asked, what else do you do? And he started rattling off all sorts of processes. He said Facebook, LinkedIn. So we just went in here and went Facebook, save, LinkedIn, save, trade shows, save, email marketing, blogging, blah, blah, blah. He named them. We wrote them down. And then step by step, we went through each of his 4 key functions. We went through getting, doing, running, guiding, and we listed all of his processes in each of these 4 key functions. Okay, so now I want your input. What do you do to get business? So just tell me, what do you do to get business? If you could just type in the question box, what do you do to get business? Okay, great. Someone says referrals. Let me go add new process, referrals. And that's probably a lead generation process, so I'm going to click save. Networking. Someone writes networking. Great. Networking. And I would also say that that's probably a lead generation process. What else? Website. Excellent. Website. Also lead generation. Anything else? Google AdWords. Excellent. I'll just write in AdWords. Great. Social media. Great. Let me add that one. Any others? Trade shows? Okay, great. Hold on, let me put that one in. Okay, so everything we listed so far was how we generate leads, really. Once a lead is generated, now what do you do? What do you do to nurture and convert that new lead into a client, into a long-term loyal client? Go ahead and just post that into the question box. Qualification call. Excellent. Yeah. So once you get a lead, you want to qualify them, right? You don't want to be chasing down leads that aren't very qualified. Now, this is no longer part of lead generation. This is part of lead conversion. We're still talking about sales, but this is about converting a lead. Free consultation. Excellent. Yeah. So that's similar to qualification, but you probably wouldn't do a free consultation if they weren't a qualified lead. What else? Site visit? Yeah. Okay, great. That's for the contractors out there. That's probably what you're used to. That's almost like a free consultation. Needs analysis. Excellent. Let's put that under lead conversion. What else? Anything else? New client intake. Excellent. Good. So have you guys thought about your business in these terms of starting to see what your business looks like in terms of its process? Can you see how powerful this is and how easy it is? Okay, so what about customer service? Once you what do you do to monetize your clients or to retain your clients if you have subscription services or anything like that, or if you have upsells, or if you just simply want them to call you again later on? Go ahead and write that in. What do you see? Customer satisfaction calls. Great. Okay. Customer satisfaction calls. Now this is we're gonna put this under customer service. And by the way, these things, lead generation, lead conversion, they're completely customizable. These are just what we call sub-functions. What else? Customer appreciation events. Great. Also part of customer service. What else? Does anybody have a frequent buyer program? Let me add that one. See that? This isn't as easy as the other one because many of you probably don't even think about this in terms of your customer service. Customer complaint process. Excellent. Good one. Customer service. Monthly emails. Excellent. Let me put that one in. Okay, so we're getting lots of great input, and if I wasn't able to get to your input, great, invite to lunch for coffee, lunch or coffee, I think you probably meant. Invite, let's just call it lunch, lunch or coffee meeting. Oops, spelled coffee wrong. If I don't get to the process, if I didn't list the process that you wrote here, I apologize. We've got a lot of great content. The purpose of today's presentation is not to actually build the entire list that everybody's giving me, but it's really to get you started to see how easy it is to start building this blueprint of your business in terms of all of its processes. One of the processes I mentioned at the very beginning, which was relevant to a key frustration, was onboarding. And given that onboarding and getting employees to do what you need them to do, they're not really selling, are they? It's something that happens behind the scenes. So we wouldn't put this process under selling. We'd come back here. It's really sort of it's part of running the business. So I'd probably come here and I would add it here. Now let me show you something. I've already added it here because I wanted to show you something. When you start walking through and naming your processes, you'll probably think of about 65 to 75% of your processes, which is, by the way, a really, really great start. But once you've gone through this step, thinking about what it is that you do in your own business, we recommend that you actually access our process libraries, and we have a number of processes that you can actually download and edit. So if you come up here, and by the way, we have a separate template of processes for each of these 4 key functions. So let's go to running the business, and you come up here and you'd select general processes. And if you scroll down, you'll see a process for employee onboarding, new employee introduction, new employee onboarding. These are all processes that you can simply put a check mark here and click Save, and it will download this process to your own account. And then you can log into it and edit it. And you'll notice that this one process has 4 different work plans, it has a checklist, it has a form, it has a new employee onboarding policy. And if we click here on new employee preparation, this is what a work plan looks like. Step by step, you can walk through this process. And if you want to edit this, you can. You can simply just click on it and go into edit mode and edit whatever you see here. But step by step, you will walk through these work plans, and you'll notice that because this is a web-based application, everything is, you can hyperlink, you can go to other websites, you can go to anywhere within the system. So you walk through the process, and now it's time for new employee training. You click here, and it goes right to the new employee training session. And you can walk through and train the employees on your strategic plan, your management philosophy, go through the employee handbook process, the discipline process. These are all processes that we have available for you, and you know, if you have 1 employee, this is not stuff that is just relevant to companies that have hundreds of employees. This is stuff that is relevant to your company if you want to create a process-dependent business. So again, what we encourage you to do is to really think of what is unique to your business and the way you do things, and once you've done that, then go to our templates and browse through and see what you can find. So think about your business first, and then once you've exhausted your ideas and what it is that you do in your business, then go to the sample list of process names to help you fill in the gaps. Okay, let's go back to the PowerPoint presentation. So at this point, you have your destination defined, and you have a fairly good list of your processes. Now you want to start creating the graphic picture of what that business is going to look like organizationally. I mean, who's going to help you with selling? Are you going to need someone to do it? So someone mentioned social media. Do you need someone to help you with your social media? Do you need someone to help you with your website SEO or your website development? How many project managers do you need, or technicians? How many supervisors? How many foremen? How many laborers? It depends on, obviously, on your business. How many back office support people will you need? Now, many on the call today probably have an org chart, but is it current? And how do you use it? Most org charts are done following an assignment given to the entrepreneur by a consultant, and then it just gets filed away. It's rare that the org chart is actually used in the day-to-day or month-to-month development of the business. In fact, I would hazard a guess that nobody on the call knows actually how they can use their org chart. Now, obviously, your org chart will help you define all of the positions in the organization and who they report to. But what if your org chart could tell you who you needed to hire next? How much you can afford to pay that new hire? How quickly you need to achieve a return on the investment in them? What is expected of them? And how will they be able to achieve what is expected of them? What if your org chart could show you who does what in your organization, so you can be sure that everything that needs to be done is being done by someone? See, your org chart has value. It's not just an exercise. On the contrary, it's a strategic growth tool. We're going to toggle over to the Touchstone account, because if Touchstone was nothing more than just a place to organize all of your processes, I mean, it would be a really good place to organize all of your processes. It would probably be a very good document sharing application. But Touchstone includes a whole other element. I'm going to click here on organizational chart. We actually give you an org chart. We provide you something that's sort of a generic organizational structure. Then, using your strategic vision, the destination that you defined in step 1 of the 5-step plan, you will edit this chart to illustrate what your business will look like in those, like, say, 3 years from now, 4 years from now. You can add positions. You can delete existing positions that we've already provided. You can log into any one of these positions and edit the names, put in whatever you want, and then simply click Save, and now you'll have edited those. You can move any of the positions around. Everything in Touchstone is drag and drop. So it's really easy to do this. And creating the organizational structure of your future vision turns your org chart into this strategic growth tool. You can actually use your org chart for the planning and growth of your business. It will probably take you about an hour to do this at most, I would think. In step number 4, you're going to link the processes that you've named in the 4 key functions. In step number 2, you named all of these processes. In step number 3, we created that org chart. In step number 4, you're going to link all of the processes from that process list to specific positions on your organization chart. You make it ridiculously easy for anyone in your company to find what they need. They no longer have to hunt through a list of hundreds of processes. They simply click on their position on your org chart, and they get a list of everything they need to do. So let's toggle over to Touchstone. Very simple to do. You can actually click on any one of these positions and start adding them process by process to each position. We suggest, when you're first getting set up, to do it the other way. Come back to the 4 key functions. So remember, you've listed all of your processes here. You've created your organizational structure. Come back to your 4 key functions and start again up here. Just click on the first process you've got here, and then come up here and say link to job description. When you click here, it's going to pull up your org chart that you just created over here. And you're going to ask yourself, who does referrals? Well, the sales manager does it, and the salesperson does it. And you'll start creating the org chart for your company. Hold on, let me just make this a little smaller, get out of the way so I can close that. And then you'll close that, and you'll come back, and you'll go to the next process, networking. Who's going to do this? And it pulls up your org chart networking. Well, the salespeople are all going to go out and do the networking. And then you go back, and step by step, you walk through all of your processes in each of your key functions and link them to specific positions on your organizational structure. And once all of your processes have been linked to the org chart, you'll have position-specific operating manuals for every box on your chart. So if I go here, I may have created, yeah. So here you've got a job description. So your admin person simply clicks on their position, and all of the processes that you've linked to that box appear. And if they want to find out how to do the customer complaint process, they simply click here, and everything they need is right here. Do this, then do this, then do this. And if there's a specific form that they need to complete, it's right here. So everything is really just a click away. Very, very powerful to get to this step. Quick word about job descriptions. This is really important too. Most of the job descriptions that we see, they're usually only used for hiring purposes. Once that position is hired, the job description gets filed away until a new employee needs to be hired for that position. And you know, when they need to hire someone, again, they look for that old job description, they determine whether or not it's accurate, and then they make changes and the process continues. So the purpose of a job description, in most cases, it's just for hiring. And what you're seeing here, this is what I see as like a typical job description. This is what one of our clients was using as a job description before becoming a client of ours. And as you can see, it is sort of a description of the job, but it's really nothing more than an ad. It's a hiring document. You know, come to a gorgeous, high-end, high-tech endodontic practice in Saratoga, blah, blah, blah. What if a job description could be more of a position-specific operating manual? Something that's used not only to hire someone, but it's used to train them, manage them, evaluate them, and because evaluate the employee, both the employee filling the position and the manager of that employee, they tend to keep their eyes on it, so it's organic, it stays current. And when these tools are actually used in the week-to-week management and the day-to-day operation of the business, the job description, the processes, they stay current organically. It's easy to keep them up to date. Now when someone needs to know what to do in your business, they simply find and click on their position that they hold on your org chart, and that will access their job description. They find a specific process that they want to do, and they click on it, and that accesses the documented process, the set of instructions on how to perform what they need to do. So we've now walked through 4 of the steps in this very simple 5-step process implementation plan. This is a very powerful series of steps to have taken because now you have a blueprint for your business growth. You've got the foundation for systemizing your business. You have this dynamic org chart that you'll use to assist you with your business development. You'll have a complete list of all of the processes that you'll need to make sure that everything is getting done. And you'll have linked all of those processes to all of the boxes on your org chart. You've created complete functional accountability. You have all of your processes named, you have all of your positions, and you've tied them together to create position-specific operating manuals. Everything that needs to be done in your business has been assigned to a position. And now you know that everything that needs to be done is being done. And if it isn't, you can discover who isn't doing it and why. Now again, it shouldn't take you more than about 10 hours to build this foundation. We have an ebook that is available to walk you through these steps, and of course we have a tool that makes it ridiculously easy. You can do this on your own, or if you need some hand-holding, Tom actually has programs to assist you with this. He's done this with many, many different companies. We usually recommend just an hour a week, so it can happen in just a number of weeks, and it's not this fire hose event that completely overwhelms you. It's really, really easy to do. In step number 5, the final step, You're going to prioritize your process list in terms of the processes that are the most important processes that need to be written, and you're going to manage the writing of these processes. So this, by the way, is an ongoing practice, something that will naturally occur in your business organically. Your processes will start to accumulate as you teach your people how to think systematically and how to write up what they do. Everyone gets engaged. But you know, I say how ridiculously easy this is, how writing processes, it's just not rocket science. It's really simple, but it takes time, and you have to focus on it. And it's important, again, I can't emphasize enough that you've got to think of this as a process rather than a project. It's something that's going to happen over a span of time, and it continues to happen for as long as the business is alive. And as processes accumulate, your business will evolve from this people-dependent business to a process-dependent business. And after 2 or 3 years, it'll be amazing to you. You'll look back and say, wow, look at all the processes I've got. And so you just do a little at a time. You don't have to be focused on doing it all day long, every day. And also, you want to do it when you have a reason to do it. Many of the processes that you will need have already been created for you, and they're available for you to download and edit. This is not to say that we've completely systemized your company. This is not a magic bullet, but it is a huge head start. Much of the material has already been thought out and organized for you. You just need to customize it for your own organization. But you will also need to write your own processes. Sorry, couldn't get to my next screen there. One way of getting your processes documented is during the training of an employee, either new or existing. Have the new employee write down what you're telling them, then give them some time during the day to write up their processes, and then review and edit what they wrote the following day. If you think about it, how well trained will they be if you follow these steps? You're actually to do what you need them to do, and you can be sure that they're paying attention because they know that they're responsible for documenting what they're hearing from you. And then they're going to write it up, and then you're reviewing it with them the following day. So there are 3 opportunities for them to go through this process. And you get a lot of buy-in and less resistance from your employees when they're involved in the systemization process. Another method that's worked well with our clients is to create a monthly workshop or a weekly workshop, whatever works. The manager or the entrepreneur picks a process. They speak with the employee or the employees who are actually doing that process, and they ask them over the next couple of weeks to think about how they do it, what they do. I mean, they'll think about things like the steps they take, what they do, the materials they use, the things they say, just things like that. Have them consider this for a few days or maybe a week. Ask them to pay attention to what they do with the intention of getting the process written down. And then on a specific date and time, you get together and collaborate to get it written down. It could be a lunch and learn. And then what you're going to do is you're going to follow through and you're going to watch it, observe it, work with your team to make sure that it's working. So what we've discussed today, it's not just theory. It's a structured plan for putting theory into action. And if you've read the E-Myth, as I suspect many of you have, this is very specifically about putting E-Myth theory into action. What I've shown you is a process that we've used to systemize hundreds and hundreds of businesses to bring order and control to this SOP chaos. And as a result, entrepreneurs have been able to thrive and enjoy their work again. Employees feel more confident and more successful in their position. And you can begin to have a business that runs more profitably and more consistently. This is not hype. This is all working knowledge. So why is it so hard? Almost every entrepreneur we speak to tells us they know they need processes, and many have a bunch of processes, but they struggle getting their business from people dependency to process dependency. And well, we believe there are 2 key reasons. The first is they don't have a process development plan, and the second is they don't have a process development tool. They're probably using Word or 3-ring binders or Dropbox or Google Docs. Those are document sharing applications, and they simply don't work. So the first reason, the lack of a process development plan. The entrepreneur doesn't have a strategy. There's no accountability for getting processes written. And that's why we developed the 5-step systemization plan. But it's important to know that you as the business owner, you cannot do this alone. You need to enroll your employees to assist you with process writing. You need to create a culture in your organization where everyone in the business understands why it's in their interest to have a set of documented instructions that they can use whenever they need it, when it's necessary to achieve what they need to achieve. It's so key to get collaboration. The second reason is the lack of a process development tool. And most entrepreneurs, they don't have an effective tool to implement their processes. As I said a moment ago, they use document sharing applications like Google Docs or SharePoint or Dropbox or 3-ring binders. These are all good for sharing documents, but document sharing applications, they don't work for process implementation. Processes are too complex for document sharing software. And as a result, you get this chaos. Processes are all over the place. You need a tool that is specifically designed for process implementation. So this is my shameless plug, everyone. I want to suggest that you take action. Make this last hour that you've spent with me, make it count. I mean, how many times have you watched a valuable presentation and then you've gone back to work? You get carried away with the day, and then several days or weeks pass and you do nothing, and you can't even remember the value that you got from attending that presentation, so you do nothing and nothing ever changes. Tom is offering a free consultation. He's going to spend an hour with you to assist you with identifying and organizing your processes, or you can schedule yourself for a personal demonstration of Touchstone so you can really see how easy it is to manage your processes. Again, this presentation wasn't meant to be a demo of Touchstone. We just wanted to let you know that the tool's available and to encourage you to find out more. It's so easy to take advantage of either or both of these offers. You can just click right there, just put in there that you're interested. You're interested in the free offers, or follow up with me, or put anything you want in there. It's going to save it with your name and your email address. We will follow up with you. And also, if you would have gotten an email from me right around when we started today, and you can just click a button on that email, and it will help you set up an appointment with either Tom or schedule a date for a demo of Touchstone. It takes a minute. Take advantage of Tom's offer. You know it will be useful, and it'll cost you nothing except an hour of your time. And if you don't do it now, my guess is that you won't, and that you'll have not only wasted an incredible opportunity, but you'll have wasted this past hour that you've spent with me. So you might as well have not shown up. I hate to be sort of so pragmatic, but by the way, if you do take action, we'll send you a free copy of the ebook, How to Systemize Your Business, and then you can actually start systemizing your business following the instructions in the book. This is the plan that Tom follows when he's helping you systemize your business. So I'm going to end with 2 quotes from 2 other great business books that I highly recommend. Both of these books, among other things, discuss how to systemize your business. This is a great book, Built to Sell by John Warillo. You can get it online. It's a fast read, a great book. What he says in the book is, don't become synonymous with your company. If a buyer isn't confident that your business can run without you in charge, they won't make their best offer. See, most entrepreneurs, they find themselves trapped in their business. Customers want to deal with the owner. And if you could see me right now, I'm doing air quotes around the word the owner. And then the owner becomes personally involved in serving the customer, which then reinforces the customer's reliance on the owner. A business simply reliant on the owner, it's not very sellable. So the owner becomes trapped in the business. And it's not just about selling your business, it's about getting freedom from your business. This is another great quote. It's from Scott Fritz, who's a colleague and a great fan of ours, who wrote an excellent book called The 40-Hour Work Year. Scott writes, and I quote, "To me, the basic definition of a business owner is someone who can afford to hire an employee to do their job." Isn't that great? And someone who can afford to hire an employee to do their job. Until you can afford to hire this person, you don't own a business, you own a job. I just love that quote. It's really important to see that the value of your company, it's not exclusively based on your revenue or your profitability or your client list. It's based on your processes. And this isn't just about selling your business, it's about making your business duplicatable. If your business is not duplicatable, the business simply cannot be brought to the next level. It becomes too dependent upon the people in your business. And this is not to say that you don't need good people in your business. You've got to get good people, but it's just that you can't be dependent upon those people. If you have processes, then the good people you find can quickly and efficiently be brought up to speed, and your business becomes process dependent, not people dependent. And then if you are ready to sell, a buyer must be able to see how they can scale your company. How? With a cash investment, they can actually grow the company, often exponentially, and make it more valuable. Because without that, why would they invest? So we've come to the end. I apologize, we're a couple of minutes over. Just let me see if we have some questions. Let me expand this. Any questions that we've got? Someone writes, is this practical for a two-person business? Absolutely, it's practical for a two-person business. A two-person business. Well, let me actually expand on that. If you have a two-person business and you do not have the intention to grow, then you don't need processes. I mean, because you're not intending to duplicate yourself. You're not going anywhere as the owner. So you don't really need processes. But that said, if your intention is to grow, if you don't want to get into this place where you grow to, let's say you're doing $200,000, $300,000 now, and now you want to get up to $700,000, $800,000, $1 million, you are going to hit a wall. We call it the virtual growth wall, beyond which you will not be able to get. You will basically die in frustration and overwhelm. You're not going to be able to get to your kids' baseball games and soccer games or school plays or events. You're going to be buried by your business. On the other hand, you know, if you're, I have a friend who's a prosthodontist. He makes a lot of money. I mean, he socks away a ton of money every year. And his intention is not really to sell his business. His intention is not really to grow a practice where he's got 3 or 4 dentists or prosthodontists. His intention is just to sock away a lot of money, and he can do that with just a couple of employees, and he makes a lot of money. So you want to sort of be thinking about that, and that's why the vision is so important, step 1 in the plan. But if you have an intention to grow your business, and if you have an intention to make your business a valuable asset, something that someone's going to want to buy, or if they don't want to buy it, you're calling in for the numbers from the British Virgin Islands, say, doing what I did. I took 14 months off. I had the most amazing adventure of my life, and I came back and my business was humming along as if I'd never left. I'm here because I want to be here. I'm super passionate about this. I love this stuff. I love figuring out the puzzles with my clients. I'm not here because I have to be. So if you want to get to that state, then yes, you want to do this even if you're a 2-person business. And it's very, very inexpensive to do this. We can talk about pricing offline, and Tom will follow up with you with that as well. Any other questions? Let me just look. I'm not seeing any. Okay, so this completes today's presentation on how to systemize your business. In closing, I just want to say thank you to Tom for allowing me to present this. Tom's such a great guy. He's been working with a lot of companies, helping them systemize. companies in Costa Rica, I mean, all over the place. He's amazing, and he does a great job at this. He's just an incredibly good man. I also want to say thank you to all of you, each and every one of you, for attending today. I hope it's been a valuable experience, and I hope that you're going to be able to put this to use, everything that we've discussed today. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact either myself or Tom. Our contact information is right here. My name is Michael Mills. My email address is mmills@businessdesigncorp.com. You can visit us on the web at www.businessdesigncorp.com. We have a ton of free tools there. Or you can call us at 707-522-6253. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time today.